Well, it's 12:45. Welcome, everyone. I hope you had a nice break, and I hope you're enjoying the conference. If you haven't had a chance yet, I also hope that you will check out the exhibitors and support them supporting us. I appreciate your time on that. I don't see anyone else here with me in the moderator, in the view. If you can, please do click the button that says share audio and video. If you're more comfortable just putting stuff in the chat, that's fine also. This is a roundtable discussion. I have a few topics I am interested in, or we may all want to know about, but I'm here to find out what you want to know and chat about what's happening in your programs. I love this session. It's my definite favorite part of every Trends conference, and happy to be here with you. If you're having any issues with that share audio and video button, please do let me know. Go ahead and put it in the chat. And if you have any topic you would like to address, if you're not using audio video, please go ahead and put that in the chat also. Few talking points I'm going to put in the chat here is curriculum. What's happening? And teaching updates. You know, what's your impact from the pandemic? How have things changed in your world? We may also want to talk about technology or any equipment updates, what you're experiencing in that. How's it going with recruiting during the pandemic? I know last time we were together a couple of years ago, someone, I forget if it was Mid-Michigan or if it was Bay, someone had started a virtual assisting degree, and I'd love to see how that's going. And I'm at Kalamazoo Valley Community College. I apologize if I didn't say that before. We've been in the conference all day, and I'm starting to forget to do that. But I'm Bethann Talsma, business faculty at Kalamazoo Valley Community College. I am the coordinator for our office administration program. And so I'd love to hear more about what you're doing in your programs. I am starting to look at event coordinated. See if that's something of need here in our area. I know Grand Valley State University has a 4-year program on this, and one on their website that lists that one of the potential jobs from that is administrative assistant. So I'd love to see if anybody is looking at that, a degree or certificate. Oh, and sure enough, I spelled certificate wrong. All right, looks like there's 7 of us in here. Janice is at Bay College, and I know she's not going to be able to join us on video audio. And Steve from Alpena, Paula from Monroe, Joyce from Bay, or maybe it was Joyce that couldn't, one of you. And Rachel's from Wayne. So anything that any of you want to talk about? Again, if you're having any issues participating, please do let us know in the chat. Chris is joining us from Mott. Thank you very much. Chris, if you want to go ahead and click your share audio and video button. Love to have somebody else on here. So Rachel's chiming in the chat. She's having issues with the camera and the mic, but she's here. Thank you for letting us know that, Rachel. Wayne County Associate Dean and new to the college world. Oh, I'm fascinated, Rachel. I'd love to hear more about where you're from and how you transitioned to the collegiate world. Hi, Chris. Okay. Somebody put a thumbs up on the event coordinator. I can't see who that is, but we'll see what we can do here. Tracy's coming in from Kellogg. Hello, Tracy. Tracy, the encouragement and anyone else is to click in the top right should be a button that says share audio and video. Go ahead and click that so we can talk freely. This session is being recorded. I'm not certain how it'll be shared later, but it is being recorded so that we can take advantage of all the information we're missing or not able to say. Joyce would be interested in the ideas about the event quarter. That was her thumbs up. Thank you. Janice, hello. Thank you. So I wonder if I can do this. Oh, so Rachel, our condolences on your loss. Tracy, I understand that entirely. You'll share audio and video in a little bit on it. So we're just going to kind of stay relaxed here, and it is just roundtable chatting. So there was some interest in the whatchamajigger, the event quarter. Let me see if I can get information on that to go ahead and put in the chat, give you a link to it. So you can do it. I think I'm new to the hi.
Hi, I'm not Steve.
Noticing that.
I'm Kim.
Although I did know a woman named Kevin, so I don't judge. I try not to make assumptions there on it. Thank you for joining me. I don't feel alone now. People are in the chat and I appreciate that, but just something different about seeing a face. So event, I am new to full-time role. I've been an adjunct myself for decades and took on this position just a few years ago. And so the process of starting new programs, I'm not still certain about. Here we go. And see if I can find the degree here on that, and then I'll post it in the chat. I apologize. I'm distracted. What name did you tell me if you're not going to be Stephen today?
Kim.
Kim, it is Kim.
Yeah,
Kim.
I work at the same college as Steve, and I guess when they bought the ticket, we all just logged in under the same thing.
You're all going to be Steve. Okay. So Kim, what do you do at Alpena?
I'm the program director for the medical assistant program, and I'm also an instructor for that program and medical information specialist.
Okay. Here at KVCC, we do have a separate medical assisting that falls under our healthcare. Are you under business or healthcare?
Well, that's kind of been in flux recently. I was under professional occupations department, which had our computer programs and our business department, and it had our program for like administrative assistant in that because we shared a lot of the same courses. But then our nursing program was in health and human services. And then they thought maybe medical assistant should be there. So they're kind of...
I feel that.
Medical information specialist, my other program is in professional occupations. So right now I'm split between the two. So we're kind of trying that out and see how it goes. And
right. I came in with a new coordinator for medical assisting. So we're working together on this, but I feel that natural tension of where does it go? Where does it best fall in there? Hi, Darcy. Thank you for joining us with the video. I don't hear you, but I can see your lips moving. Looks like your camera is way up above you. Cool. And Darcy's in a classroom. Okay. So I'm guessing that's the type of classroom where you can do some flex teaching where students can come in by Zoom or something like that, is my guess. We'll watch her type her answer. So if I'm looking sideways, it's because I'm trying to find this event coordinator on the Grand Valley State University website that I did just a couple weeks ago on it. So I can put that in the chat. Okay. Nothing's ever where you want it, right? Okay. Darcy, if you're okay with typing, we'll accept your stuff by type. I know how frustrating it can be when something doesn't work very much the way you want it to. Okay. Again, everyone, please do put a topic in the chat if there's something specific you would like to know about. Chat with others around.
I saw one of the topics that you did type in was kind of how the pandemic changed everything for us. That's definitely a hot topic. And I think it's going to remain that way because we've thought all along it's going to go away anytime. And, kind of being in the medical field, I felt right from the beginning that was too optimistic, that it was going to be around for quite a while and have some long lasting effects. So,
right. So start us off. What changes have you encountered? What have you seen?
Well, right when it first came about, with our program, when we were let out of the classroom in March, we knew we would have to finish out that school year being online. And I started planning for fall, not being in the classroom again. We were all kind of talking, we'll be back in the fall, but I had definitely had my plan B, which was that we would not be there. So we kind of juggled around our courses at that time so that we normally did our hands-on training for our medical assistant students in the fall, and they went out to a practicum in the spring. But we rearranged that, got in touch with our offices and rearranged things so that we could do everything that we could online in the fall, and then did their hands-on in the spring at the same time we did their practicum.
Because in medical assisting, is yours strictly administrative, or is it also some patient care?
It's medical assisting is definitely both. We teach them, the front office skills on how to register patients and how to do insurance billing, how to do the coding, how to handle electronic health records and that. But most of what they do is back office. It's doing vital signs, doing patient intakes, medication reconciliation. But they're the doctor's right hand back there. They're assisting them with everything.
Right. Whereas my side of it is strictly the front office, maybe in the administration of the hospital system, medical system, not involving patient.
Yeah. So most people, they think of when they go into a doctor's office that those are nurses working with the doctors, and some of them are.
Right.
But I would say 80 to 90% of those folks are medical assistants back there now, and people just don't realize it. But so we had to make that switch. And then, we were even kind of thinking once the new school year started, it's still going to impact us, because, we were waiting for those variants to come about. And so it did very much impact us this year again. So really it's pushed us into, I think, what the students wanted to begin with. And that was making our program mostly online.
Right.
For a long time, we had a course or two that was online, and then they had to come
Right.
to campus for the vast majority. And we had an accreditation that really required that. And
Okay.
so we found we discontinued that accreditation and we put most of our stuff online.
Yeah.
And, we're still really striving to keep the high quality,
Okay.
but we're doing without that accreditation. And, they're going to have to test for a different credential. It's still a highly respected one, but,
Right.
it's not that very top one now because of all the demands that that credential and that those accreditors required that prevented us from being online.
Thank you. Just a couple of others here. Janice has got in here. So Janice, Bay College has just started the medical assistant certificate, not an associate's. Ken, yours is an associate's, right?
We have both. That's the other change that we did make, and that had to do with getting rid of that accreditor as well, is that we were able to add a 1-year certificate because we find it's so hard for students anymore. They're working full time, they're raising families, and they expect the school to cut back rather than them to have to cut back anything in their life. And it's a constant complaint, I've got a life. How do you expect me to do all this homework?
Right.
And it's like, well, I've got to train you to do this job. I can't cut back on that. You're going to be given shots and drawing blood. You have to know how to do all this.
And that's something I think universally, we can put this in the chat, be interested to hear, is everyone else also finding that with students? They aren't allotting enough time in their schedule to do the coursework they're trying to do. And with the frontliners, someone has told me that the money's available only 2 years. So they're trying to cram in full-time scheduling while keeping their life going and in it. So Janice is working on the certificate. Darcy mentioned her entire degree is online, and I'm going to speak to that and then mention, but feels that students do so much better in place. I'm interested in all of us. What, Darcy, you're nailed it. Mine are older, working, non-traditional. So that's where I think in my area, in Kalamazoo area, geographically here, I think that's where the most of my students are going to be coming from, or people at work who are going to put a degree onto what they've been doing for years. Not as many traditional aged at all. And so they need the online. I had plans to convert stuff to online, and the pandemic helped me and pushed me because I wasn't planning to do 4 classes a semester, but we did. And so now my students can take it. I believe everything in the certificate, in the associate degree, is available online. Some things, the gen eds, are still available in seat, obviously, but the specific to our degree, and I'm interested in some challenges there that we're addressing, we're finding, seeing what challenges you're occurring. There's some things I definitely miss about face-to-face. Like, I don't know about you. I have had a class in the past on office ethics and etiquette. And part of that was, at dinner, practicing our business etiquette and in the dining situation. Well, you can't really do that in online for it. So I'm slightly grieving some activities I think I'm missing, and I'm searching for creative ways to then bring that in the online format. I used to enjoy bringing in guest speakers from local businesses that were particular to our topic. And that also bridged into possible networking opportunities. I don't know about any of you, but my first career job after getting my administration degree was a company we took a tour of. And we recognized their ad. So
I think when we teach these online classes, we're trying to replace those components that you mentioned, being able to share our experiences as an instructor when we were working out in those professions, and those speakers. but I find that people are trying to use the discussion board and getting students to make comments and then comment on the other student's comment. To me, that's so much busy work and a waste of time. And I think the students feel that too.
Oh, yes.
But we have the technology now, if we go out and look for it, where maybe we can put the videos in, where we might be able to videotape some of those speakers.
Well, yes, and I've thought about that. The thing I lose is the Q&A, and I don't want to ask a guest speaker to take 24 questions every semester.
Right.
You know, I think that, yeah, Darcy, you're right. Office procedures is another one for that. I love to have the postmaster come in. I love to have take the students down to our copy center and talk about copiers and printers and things. One of the things I'm doing with discussions, I don't know if that's of interest to anyone, is I am spanning more than 1 week. I do not feel, I agree with you 1,000% that I do not think a 1 week discussion is of value every single week. So I have less discussions. I may combine multiple topics in a discussion, and the students are required to post in each, maybe start in one and comment in the other, kind of thing. But I span them now over 3 weeks. So in week 1, they're required to do their own original post. And then the week 2, they don't have to wait for it, but it's recommended in week 2 that they respond to one classmate, or 2 classmates, including questions. They get points deducted if they don't include questions. Then in week 3, they're to answer the questions they were asked and participate in any discussion of interest.
Darcy had a good comment there too about the younger students not having much experience to contribute.
Right. So this is valuable for them to get from it. Has anyone tried video discussions? I'm seeing a topic on that somewhere, and I don't know if it's a session tomorrow or if that's something at my school.
Yeah. I know that's something that I've come across in other webinars and that I've been involved in, is that people are going more and more to that. And that's what I was talking about in place of those discussion board things, is doing more videotaping of professionals that, can speak to their work experience.
And local professionals, because that's all about, I'm getting in adjunct part-time instructors, but they're not all here in Kalamazoo. I'm originally from, born in Kalamazoo, moved to Grand Rapids and spent decades there. So all my contacts are out of Grand Rapids. And I'm like, I need people in Kalamazoo. They can help my students get jobs.
Do you guys have advisory committees for your program?
We do, and I'm looking to build that, grow it so that I get more industry variety of industry representation.
So that might be a good place to kind of start if you're looking to do some of those videos in that area, and they can probably help you with like different coworkers and people they know and help expand these lists.
I know at our school we just went through, we're still working on actually teacher credentialings, because I don't know what's happening in everyone else's school, but you've got a lot of requirements that our level, the office administration level of adjunct, if they meet those, would make them overqualified for any position. To require a master's degree to teach an office administration just doesn't make sense to me. So we're looking at terminal degree, what requirements, if we can get more people in who are in positions, then bring them in. So is anybody looking at more at the hybrid class? Because in an online, we can't require them to come to campus, require them to come to meeting, but we have a modality now of Zoom hybrid, where you have a scheduled time that you meet on Zoom each week instead of physically in the classroom. That was introduced in response to the pandemic. Anyone using that? Darcy's nodding her head as she's typing. I see that. We got our eyes on you, Darcy.
I know at ACC we went to a distinction between online and remote.
Okay.
Where remote designated that there were synchronous meetings between the instructor and the students.
So we have several there along the lines. But that's what I've been wondering about for the office administration. Number one, recognizing that the majority of my students are coming from returning to the workforce or getting a degree out of what they've been doing for long term, the frontliners. I have a lower percentage of traditional age student. So trying to meet both of that. So is anyone, what's your focus on group projects? Are you using that as a tool to engage the younger with the seasoned worker? Anybody doing that? Hey, Brendan, welcome.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Yes, it's good to see you too, Bethann. And is that Kim Sausinger from ACC?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Hi.
Oh, I can
How are
confirm
you?
it's not Stephen.
Doing well. Oh my gosh, long time no see. Sorry to
Definitely.
interrupt. Just want to check and make sure. Do I sound like a chipmunk or am I normal?
No,
You're good.
you're normal.
Okay,
You're
good. Thank you.
And Darcy's typing all the time because for some reason her microphone's not working. But
Go figure. We'll have to talk to IRT about that one for sure. Sorry to join late. I just got done with a class, but delighted to. I saw there was a table for business administration or office administration. I was like, yes, I want in. Let's go.
I know. We love
So,
this.
if I can, what was the question? One more time.
Right now, Darcy's asking, can you explain plans for the hybrid class in the fall? So Darcy's teaching via Zoom, literally teaching via Zoom, an office class. Okay, Microsoft Office. Yeah, and Darcy, I understand if you get this going right, we're halfway through the semester, your students are comfortable, they're not coming, are they? I get it.
No,
I miss them, but it's their learning.
that's a good boundary to set.
Mhm.
The hybrid course that we're developing, Darcy, to confirm, are we talking for fall 2023? Or 22, excuse me. Yes, okay. So fall 22, we are working with our business program to identify, I think it's 4 courses that are all going to be hybrid. They're all separate section, but what will happen is each course will meet same date or day of the week, same time. They'll alternate from week to week. So for us, we got first slot. So in August, when they come in, we'll meet with them Tuesday, August 30th from 6 to 9. Then they'll have their, I think it's Intro to Business, Principles Econ, and I think one of the accounting courses is also participating. So every week, it's the same slot for them. They still have to come to campus, but the teachers and courses change.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what the data ends up being for this along the way. And we're excited too.
Yeah.
That's
Because if you can rotate that through, if their degree, I mean, it's kind of like a cohort. You're meeting it just one time for 2 years, and
exactly.
you're done with your degree. But it's via Zoom,
It's face to face.
face to face.
Well, let me clarify. It's a mix of everything. So there's a face-to-face component. So for each of these sections of classes, they're coming 4 times that year. They're going to be there face-to-face.
Just 4 times. Wait a minute, 4 times a semester? Or
4 times a semester, excuse me.
Okay.
So basically once a month. They'll come to there. You can hear the entire time, but they'll see each class once a month. So for like our OIT 161, which is our Intro to Microsoft Office Applications course, we'll see them in basically the first week of every month. Then week 2 is business or accounting. It's one of the other courses along the way. So it will be, face-to-face those days. We have the learning management system Moodle, which is where the course content and assignments will be, their group discussions moving forward from that. I don't know whether or not anyone's planning to bring in live Zoom sessions. I think I caught the tail end of Darcy's conversation regarding Zoom, and Bethann, your comment about they choose their learning at that particular point. So I don't know from OIT's standpoint whether or not, and OIT is Office Information Technology. I don't know if we're going to facilitate via Zoom. I think we're going to facilitate via face-to-face and leverage LMS for that.
Yeah, I'm really liking the fully online, but I'm available office hours or virtual via Zoom, and I tutor via Zoom for troubleshooting of anything that's happening there. I have made the choice to be more flexible. My life allows for me to have more flexibility. So if they need early morning or late at night, and I about fell asleep on somebody Monday night, but we made it. Kind of things. I've had a few this summer. I had some scared students concerned about stuff, and we were on weekends and near the end of day going, no, we are going to get you through this. You're gonna survive.
Exactly. I will say that for both Darcy and I, we do facilitate office hours. One, we do them in our classrooms. We do have some time in our actual offices, which you can see behind me, and then we also facilitate via Zoom. So we do follow your methodology too of being available as much as possible.
Because it really seems to make the difference to their success, doesn't it?
It does. I think they want to know that we care.
Right.
And we do.
I'm not alone.
Exactly.
So we were talking a bit about demographics and age of students. Is anyone finding younger students don't take advantage of that enough, or are they taking advantage of it more, or is it equal?
This is recording. I don't know if I want to say.
Understand completely. It is being recorded.
Taking advantage of what?
Time with the instructor.
Yeah, they don't. At least that's my experience is they don't. When we were still on campus, the only time they came to me for office hours was right before class. And they'd say, oh, I didn't get my homework done. I didn't know how to do it. And I'm like, well, why are you asking me now? Because I can't help you now. And now that, I've been working from home since the pandemic. And I've told them, these are my 4 hours of official office hours, but you can call me Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4. I'm here, and you can email me. I mean, I'm a night owl. If they email me at 1 a.m, I answer them.
Well, that's what I've said. Just don't be surprised if you get an answer.
Yeah, and I answer them, and yet they tend to not contact me. I mean, it's only when I send them the email that go, you didn't do any of your work this week. Is there a problem? Can I help you with something? And then they go, well, I didn't know how to do that. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, there were extensive directions on Blackboard, and there was a video that showed you exactly how to do it. And I had an intro video that showed you where to go on Blackboard for everything. And I'm thinking, why? But, you have to go to them.
In a way, yeah. So I encourage them to take charge of their learning, and it is a process to get them to change from there. We do have some people we haven't heard from yet. Luis is here from Lake Michigan. Stacy from Women's Resource Center. Actually, Luis might have left us again. If you want to chime in the chat or join us here on video and audio, I'd love to hear from you. Rachel, I think you've been in here a bit for it. So yes, everyone is welcome to chime in. This is a roundtable discussion, not a presentation. We like this. We did have somebody. Did we get curriculum and teaching updates? Was this Darcy? Did you have any questions about this you wanted to ask more of? You're good. I saw a thumbs up. Does that mean you're good for right now? Anybody have any technology / equipment updates? Now, I will be honest with you. I think, as you probably read some data on, that things are going to be changing in our offices based on what's going through the pandemic. These current students and stuff are going to be pushing changes. Darcy, we're talking curriculum. I thought you had something up here earlier. You were interested in that. Anyways, I was going to say, I think that businesses are going to be changing and updating with what we've learned here in the pandemic, and people want a mix of in the office and on home. So one of the things I'm trying to do is that they haven't yet encouraged my students to host a Zoom meeting or go to meetings or something like that. And so in group projects, I will encourage them to meet and give some extra credit for that, making that happen also. So to get over that practice hump. Do we have any technology equipment updates? Anybody doing something different? Give a minute here if someone wants to type something in the chat.
The only thing that's kind of like coming to mind is like future setting for like office information technology, the new version of Microsoft 365 and Windows 11. I know it's on the horizon, so it's like I didn't know if that had already been said, but
I did go to Cengage's presentation about Windows 11 and
yes.
and stuff. And I thankfully they recorded it, so I'm going to go back and look at the links and watch the video again. Yes, it appears it's going to continue to be a challenge for installed apps.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to keep pushing us away from that. Don't know what your schools are going to be doing with it. So, Brendan, Darcy asked you to explain the OWL system if you didn't mind. Online Writing Lab?
Although I'm looking.
Oh no, something else. That's
there
the
it is.
Online Writing Lab.
I was on the wrong panel. I apologize. So the OWL system, yes. So this is a 360-degree camera and I believe microphone combination. I'm looking for Darcy's confirmation if that's the case. So the OWL system, what it'll do, plugged into an instructor terminal, is it will basically track voice. So if Darcy's presenting and teaching in the classroom, the camera will be trained on her. But if the discussion shifts and the student raises and has a question and speaks loudly and clearly, as we know they're want to do, it will actually change perspective to that student so that those that are participating online are, it's not that word. Hold on. It's emulating the in-class space and environment in that respect.
And do students have to sign permissions about their being recorded or anything? Or is this not recording? This is just live?
That's a fantastic question. I presume it would be for live situations. If it's not recorded, I don't believe that's the case. In terms of recording, I need to do some homework and I'll let you know at the next Trends Conference when I learn.
There you go. Darcy says it's beneficial for students at your remote campuses. So
yes.
you can bring them together rather than canceling a class for low enrollment. You can combine all your campuses together. Yes, I do like that.
Yeah, we have a video.
Meet them.
We have a video conferencing system at ACC that does have a camera set up like that.
Right. So that's some good stuff there. And I think, did all of our schools go for loaner laptops and virtual desktops?
They did last year, not so much this year for us.
Not continuing it.
No.
Which brings up a question. What format are you in right now? Are you back on campus? Are you still remote? Or are you a blend? What's everybody doing?
We're a blend. For KCC, I want to say our goal was 25% of our courses face-to-face, the rest online. In the next upcoming semester, it's 50% online, 50% face-to-face, and progressing that way as we go through. But services are open. Students are on campus. Right. It's a lot livelier than last year. Well,
yeah, it's a lot livelier than last year, but it's still really quiet here in Kalamazoo. We're about the same on that. So what we're doing differently right now is we don't have that exciting program you got where they come once a week on Tuesdays. We're still doing the full courses, but I'm moving them to blended. So they come one day a week, and so the rest of the time they're online. But I see them every week for the same class at an assigned time slot. And I'm thinking if the administration agrees that that's something we'll continue to move forward with. I'm thinking students are, especially if they're coming traditional age out of high school where they've started doing Zoom stuff, they're more into these hybrid looks and spending less time in the classroom than what we did in the past. Yeah. Does make it, I'm pushing them to engage in their learning more outside of that, but yeah. I see that as a trend that is probably going to continue along with fully online for what we can do. How's your recruiting been? What are you doing for recruiting during the pandemic? And just to confirm, I think it was mid-Michigan. Do we have anyone from Bay or Bay City or Bay College? Joyce was on here and Janice. We don't have anybody from mid-Michigan. I think it was mid-Michigan. If anyone's here 2 years ago, they were talking about starting the virtual assisting program. Someone else was 7-week courses only going gangbusters. And I really want to know how that's going. Anybody use the app Nextdoor in your personal life? You've heard of that one, Nextdoor? Well, it's for communities, neighborhoods to talk to each other about stuff. You can see all the lost cats and dogs and the found cats and dogs and
Oh,
draw something interesting. There was an interesting one. Someone was looking for some work, financial situation. They put it out there. And one of the respondents said a certain type of startup business was looking for virtual assisting. And I went, I need that. And I think the conversation got deleted because I can't find it anymore. And I didn't have time enough. So
yeah.
I'm very interested in that. I'm wondering if that's going to continue to grow in Michigan and everywhere for out of the pandemic, as people are working from home. So what is your recruiting like? What are you doing?
In progress for us. Both Darcy and I are newer to KCC, and we just our department just hired a new director. So we are in the stages of kind of recalibrating and getting reoriented to, what are the priorities, shaping the department. But it's very much a lively conversation of, we want to do stuff, let's go.
Right. And I don't know if you heard me say that. You're hosting an adjunct faculty fair.
And there's our director.
Hi, Tracy. That's an interesting one. I wonder if we partner up for adjunct faculty. Welcome, Tracy.
Hey, I finished my lunch, but you guys were talking and everything, and I was just kind of taking it all in. And those two phenomenal folks, Brendan and Darcy, are on my OIT team. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that we're doing, which I don't know that we've done it in a while, is we're hosting an adjunct faculty fair. And in particular, we're going to be looking for adjuncts for OIT. The entire business and information technology program could really stand to grow. But right now, with us being kind of in flux, we're going to go with the greatest need. And right now, our greatest need is one of our greatest needs, I shouldn't say it's our greatest, but one of the greatest needs is in OIT. They're the only two who are teaching. And so
I'm the only one.
And we have no bench. And I said, you can't have successful programs if you don't have a bench, and especially an adjunct bench. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that we're doing. But I think we're absolutely correct in that right now, because of COVID, and we have students in classes, but it's hard to have the conversation about growing faculty when we've got 3 butts in seats.
Right.
And
it's
just hard.
Right. I need that pipeline developed.
Yeah. It's just so, I think everybody is struggling through that, and we'll get there, but it is at least on the horizon. And I was very excited that even in the midst of the pandemic, like there's so many things we've put on hold, but even in the midst of the pandemic, we're saying we still need to get adjuncts. We need to have people, we need to continue to build our bench.
And I'm curious, Tracy, what are your, any 3 of you, and everyone else, what are your requirements, credentialing for adjuncts? Are you in the same point that I am, where you have to have a certain degree level, or are you able to take them work experience? What's your school saying?
So, Brendan, you guys, we just had this discussion. So why don't you guys share what we presented to the college? So I'm going to lead off and just say, so yes, we within our adjuncts and also within Perkins, there's the 2-year requirement. There's the 2 years of work experience. That's not a Michigan requirement. That's a federal requirement that you got to have 2 years of work experience.
Exactly.
But we were able to kind of think that Darcy and Brendan were able to kind of think about how they would like to parlay that work experience and say, for our credentials, we don't necessarily need that. So Brendan or Darcy, you guys want to speak more to that? Because I think it was a good way to kind of help our human resources to think about this particular program a little bit differently.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because Darcy has in the chat here that you still have a master's preferred, but I'm like, if I'm looking for office administration, that takes them overqualified for any position they're working to go to that level. And we don't have a master's degree in office administration. They got to move over to business administration.
Correct. I'm actually pulling up a couple notes here from that discussion. as I understand it, and this is something that's developing, we're learning as we go, or I'm learning as we go here. And typically, master's is preferred at our degree level. But what we had shared, and it was at the course level for courses that would be considered for the adjunct pool, would be minimum qualifications. And we were looking at bachelor's degree level paired with experience of 2 years or more.
Right.
The minimum being 2 years as identified by Perkins, and the area of focus being business and or career technical education disciplines to kind of help see if that helped identify those as we go through.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. The other one that we had put forward for conversation was looking at our associate's degrees and a higher number of years of service, somewhere between 5 and 7 years. Mm-hmm. And it really, really depends. Like, for example, the previous college that I'm coming from, I was part of the division that was in industrial trades. So welding does not have a bachelor's program. Right. It has associate's degree. And then there is, and forgive me if there's someone that's more familiar with the program, please fill in my gaps if they're incorrect, but there's X number of years of service and in industry, and credentialing that way is how that industry works. So a master's degree is a hard qualification to identify at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're hitting it right where we're at here. But I like what Darcy said. You're looking at associate degree with 5+ years. That's an interesting. I didn't end up on that committee, and I'm waiting for my representative to get back to me on what they've ended up with, because I'm like, I need adjuncts on it. Kim, what's your school doing?
As I recall, the state somehow pushed all this and said that the instructors had to prove that they were, highly qualified to teach. And we ended up having to go through and look at every instructor.
Right.
And see what their qualifications were. Mm-hmm. And I think we ended up losing some. Yes.
But I don't have room to lose them.
Yeah, I think somehow it's kind of backed down since then. But, we went through that process, of course. And there were some people that had to go and get more schooling to meet that bar that was set. But teaching medical assisting, it was an associate, or in some cases a 1-year certificate. And then people go out and work. You don't go get a bachelor's or a master's to be a medical assistant. You don't need it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I was a very unusual medical assistant in that I have a bachelor's and a master's in that, but it had to do with my teaching.
Exactly.
I originally I have a Michigan license for teaching, K through 8. And so it was unusual that I hopped to, teaching in college. You're not going to find that with most medical assistants. So what we looked for, of course, was their credential as a medical assistant. And that's what we set it for, for our program, was that they had to have a recognized medical assistant credential. And then we wanted them to have several years working in an office as a medical assistant.
Exactly.
But then we also had a requirement that they had to have some training in instruction so that they understood, how to get across to the students. And
how to do the teaching.
Yeah, unrealistic expectations with testing in that, so that they had to have something, a workshop of some kind, and some training in setting up a course.
I'm with you, because we have legal terminology. We don't, for our legal administrative assistant. I'm like, can I have an a legal secretary come in and teach that class? And that would build connections off to their employer and others. So I like that concept of the associate degree with 5+ years. That's and maybe even a credential, like the legal secretary could be a member, have our legal secretaries association. Or is anyone still working with IAAP, International Administrative? I can't even say it right. International Association of Administrative Professionals. They have their certified administrative professionals designation.
I don't think we are currently at this time.
Darcy's typing a lot, I can tell.
It's on our list, though.
What which brings up credentialing overall. What are you doing? How are any of you doing the Microsoft Office, the MOS certifications?
Prior to Darcy and I coming in, and I'm sorry, Darcy, it looks like you had something you wanted to add into the chat.
Well, yeah, her microphone's not working, so she's only chatting.
Darn. Okay. So we have 3 programs. We have 2 associate degrees for administrative assistant, and then a certificate of complete. Excuse me, misspoke. Our associate degree can either be taken online designation or face-to-face for administrative assistant. We also have certificates in administrative assistant and Microsoft Office specialist certification. Currently, when both Darcy and I joined the program, the courses were, in their description, said they help prepare students for the certification exams, but within the last year or 2, there's not much evidence to support that students were pursuing that certification or that they were aware of it.
Right.
So a lot of our efforts this last year have been to renew interest and information of, hey, this is out here, and it's important to you as a developing professional, one, to certify the skills that you have from a third party in addition to what you get from your associate's degree, but it also shows another layer of devotion to your industry.
Your career.
We're on the way back to finding ways to incorporate it into our curriculum. Did I say something out of place?
No, you keep going. I just realized I have news. So you keep going.
Okay. The question that remains is, I know at one point the state used to actually cover. I'm a hush. You go. I think this was all you, Bethann.
You're absolutely right. When I first hired in, the state was in tenure track. The state was still paying for the MOS certification exam vouchers, and then I believe that was through Perkins.
Perkins is for ACC.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and the Michigan Department of CTE. And then they abruptly stopped 2 years ago when we were in this roundtable. Because I forget the reasoning. So I have been on a team that was putting together advice for recommendation for CTE credentialing at the K-12 level.
Okay.
And we recommended MOS. And the hope is the state's taking it on. They will again cover the cost of the vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
We hope. Hope.
Yes.
I don't have full word on that yet, but we did surveys of our advisory committees and other businesses that we knew of, asking what credentials they recognize. And MOS came back. And that's what the state wants, is third business industry recognized certifications.
Yes.
And so we are very exciting. If you have K-12, your K-12 partners may be complaining about this process because they have to switch things over. And their CTE programs, students have to come out with a credential.
Yes.
Be a completer with a credential, something like that, if those words make any sense. So that's where I'm very excited. I am, same path, Brendan, bringing it back. It is the final exam. So here in Kalamazoo Valley, we have an interesting situation. We have a office class combined with Intro to Computers that transfers to our 4-year partner, Western. We have 1 credit courses, basic information in Word, Excel, Access, and then we have advanced in a couple for people who just don't want to take those 3 or aren't going to Western or too many options, if you ask me. We're going to work on that. But in the actual administrative assistant program, I have a 4 credit in Word. I have a 3 credit in PowerPoint. And then I'm going to be changing up the degree to require the advanced Excel, that type of stuff. So I'm bringing the MOS certification back in as the final exam. Right now, the students have to pay for the test voucher, but I'm hoping that eventually the state's going to pick that up, and that'll be something that we can save them the cost of. So they're dedicated to putting on that. Now, excellent. Darcy is saying, she's asking about administrative assistant certifications. Darcy, that's the IAAP. I'll get the website here and put it in the... Now, and this is also interesting. I believe they are bringing back a student level certification, because with the IAAP, you have to have 2 years work experience in the field. I thought I read something about they were bringing back a student level test they used to have 1 year ago and dropped it. And I think that's coming back. So you use the Cengage Moss. Is that, Darcy, through MindTap? Brendan, are you guys using MindTap? Yep. So I use that as a practice to prepare them for the final. And I have had students sometimes say that I forget if it was, I think it was PowerPoint. The Cengage was actually a little harder than the actual test.
I'm kind of okay with that.
I'm wonderfully okay with that. But I'm pushing them because it's got the time frame on it that you got to get this done in. And
Yes.
now with the other thing I've got, I don't know what you guys have here, is where to do this testing. So right now, Cengage, Certiport is allowing exams from home, which has been wonderful. I could proctor all my students doing it. It took a little time on my end, but then last semester I learned how to do multiple students at the same time. That worked out. And then I think that's available through the end of the year. And I'm working with our testing center this fall to see if I can get it back in there. They say they have firewall problems, I think, with the system Certiport had before. So we're hoping that I can get it back in there and they can just schedule them.
Our college library used to do it here, but now I guess our high school's taken over doing it.
So your high schools and all, will they take people outside of the high schools? Are they available to the public?
That I don't know.
Yes, because I think there's some. Do you guys have New Horizons?
Lansing does.
I
Anyway,
know they're an authorized center, but I don't know if they will do just the public. I think you might have to be one of the clients. Joyce is giving us PACE certification. This is interesting. I'm going to check this out also, because I would like something like this at the end of their degree before they graduate. Not necessarily, I don't want to penalize them if they don't pass it, kind of thing. But I want them to know where they're at on the scale and strive for the excellent, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys use that SAM as you're going through the courses to
The office? Yeah, it turns out, yes.
does that work well for training them for the certification testing?
Brandon,
there,
Darcy, you
MLS?
want to chatter on that?
Certainly, though I'm going to be curious for your answer too, Bethann. Currently, our program in our college is using Cengage Unlimited for a lot, not program, excuse me. Our department has really led the use of Cengage Unlimited for both their online books as well as MindTap and the supplementary sources. For OIT, this was done a few years ago, even before Darcy and I arrived, to kind of bring down the cost of the courses. Currently, we are deep linking everything into our LMS. We're using SAM trainings, we're using SAM exams and projects to help basically help them master the content and prepare for the certifications if they choose to go down that road. One of the pieces of feedback that I'm getting from students in my class this semester is they're running out of time to get all the work done in a week. So we're going back and kind of looking at load balancing in that respect. But yes, we've been using SAM in that respect and kind of watching and see what comes next. Bethann, how about you?
I agree 1,000% with the Cengage Unlimited platform to save students money. I love that. I don't know that the textbooks are always the best, but I believe the instructor makes the difference. The content is there. It's the instructor that can help facilitate a higher quality learning, if you will.
Yeah.
So the way I run those is I require, so what Cengage will do in this. Kim, are you using it all? Do you know what I don't want to over-explain.
We tried to do it here, but some of the teachers wouldn't agree to do it, so the bookstore wouldn't.
Oh,
I was really bummed.
Yeah.
Mary Jane and I were both on board with that, but we couldn't get anyone else to agree.
So your adjuncts are able to choose their own stuff or something?
Not the adjuncts, it was the full-time instructor.
Oh, I thought you meant adjuncts. Sorry, I heard that wrong. Yeah, that's gonna be a challenge. So the way it operates is Cengage has multiple assignments, activities. There's the textbook project where you walk through the textbook, the detailed instructions. There's
I'm sorry. Are you talking about Sam or were you talking about the Cengage
Sam.
Unlimited? Sam. Okay.
Sam.
Sorry. I thought you meant Cengage Unlimited, but Sam. I've used Sam. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you understand the different activities. So my issue is that's great. I don't see enough critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I want them to be more confident. So I would prefer to have a course comprehensive project. Mm-hmm. I've partnered up, I've taught before at Davenport and University, and that is one thing they do in every single class. There's some sort of course comprehensive project. Mm-hmm. And I have considered some of that. I can't overload my courses though, obviously. So if I'm doing a course comprehensive, can I also do the MOS? I have some where I have room, and it depends on I need to back up and say I am. Mm-hmm. I will do that because the MOS is basically their final exam on it. Mm-hmm. So as I said, I like it for the cost savings to the students. Yeah. And then you, as the instructor, you don't rely solely on that.
I know there are some places that build a fee into their courses to pay for that. Mm-hmm. Is that what you guys do? To have it as their final exam? No?
Mm-mm. It's too broad. So like earlier, I talked about having a class on office ethics and etiquette. And
oh, wow.
that one where we had the etiquette, the dinner, we had a $30 course fee so that we could have our culinary division prepare the meal kind of thing. And that was flat. And there was enough price in there because we invited industry partners and college administrators. So the students were at a social business dinner with people they're unfamiliar with kind of thing. But the cost was enough for the student meals and the administrators' meals to cover all of that. That's a one-time thing. With the MOS, as a final exam, I might be able to, but it's not. So the issue is how the vouchers are provided to the schools. Right now, the school has to purchase either individual vouchers for the students or a packet of like 500. Mm-hmm. And then how do you divvy out who gets those 500 and how they get used up? And where's your break even if a student needs 5 of them to pass a test kind of thing? Yeah. So especially right now, until we get the state, hopefully, to start paying for them again, we'll just having the student buy it. And I encourage them to buy the one with the retake. My students are passing them. I've had 1 or 2 students do a retake. I had one student not want to do a retake. They didn't, for PowerPoint, they didn't see a value in having that on the resume. And that was a student choice. Mm-hmm. Rachel, we go till 2:00, but thank you for mentioning that.
So how does that impact their final grade then? If that is their final exam, okay. I mean, can that tank them?
No. So if they pass it, they get full credit for the final test. They get 100% on the final exam. If they don't pass it, which it's 700 out of 1,000, so then they get whatever score they earned. So if they earn 650, they get 65% of the final exam score. Is what I do. And so for everybody's passing it, which I expect because they're my 200 level students. They're ready for this. And as they're getting used to it, I have students this semester. We did PowerPoint last fall, Word last winter, and now I have students in PowerPoint that did Word, and they're like, I really want to be prepared for that. I want to do it. I want to ace it the first time. I'm okay. I'm loving it. Here we go. And that one. So, I admit it. I'm kind of excited about that. So I'm still impressed with Joyce found this PACE one. I don't know. I'm going to check that out.
Good question, Darcy.
Darcy, great one. Do I have students who I know absolutely aren't going to pass it? Yes, everyone tries it because I may not know the students before they get into the course. So I can't make that decision pre-course start. I haven't encountered this situation. Well, I have kind of. I just do my best to encourage them. Certiport does have an accommodations format if that is needed for the student to succeed. And I want to give them that opportunity to try for it, see what they can do. If they can't pass it this semester, then maybe they can try again at a different time if they want to get their own voucher. I did have a situation where a student didn't pass the class, but passed the MOS last semester because I agree, Darcy. But they get the opportunity to see, and I don't want to judge them on what they do if they can figure that out. Now, it's up to them when they purchase it. So a lot of my students don't purchase it right away. And if you can find that out right away, or if one of your students talks to you with it, maybe you can have an alternative. Do something with there. But I agree with you, the cost. Or they could sell it off to somebody else if they aren't going to use it.
I'm kind of curious about that situation about the students because we have like a test out situation where you give them a test like that, and if they can do it, they get the credit for the class. So what did you do? So
that's another scenario avenue of taking it down. If you come in with a MOS certification in a class, we can waive the class or do the prior learning credit type of thing, or they can get credit for the class. There's a couple things I'm doing. By bringing in a course comprehensive project, number one, I can say, if you're going to test out of Word, you can use the certification, the MOS certification, to show that you've got the Word, but then you have these other course outcomes that you have to meet. So it's a portfolio you have to submit, because you have to do the course project in addition to having the MOS. And I'm hoping that will take care of conflicts with students out of K-12 coming out with certification.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that'll bridge that gap. So you've experienced this, I'm sure. Student is 3/4 of the way through the class, has a high enough grade to get a score that will pass, that will transfer off to a 4-year, and says, I'm done. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, you haven't learned everything yet. So I now have a requirement in my syllabus of something that is required to be done in order to remain eligible for a passing grade. So you either have to attempt like in that course, you had to attempt and present the course comprehensive project. And the student ended up with some frustrations and decided not to do it. I tried to work with the student, given opportunities to extend this or whatever, just do something minimal. You have to attempt it. You don't have to ace it. So that way they chose not to do that. And so they have the MOS, but they no longer pass the class. Exactly, Darcy. You know how to do the task, but can you use your critical thinking? Do you understand when to use it and how to use it? Brendan, can they use financial aid to purchase the voucher if they get it from the bookstore? And I'll be honest, last year, Cengage actually had the best price. It was half price to buy a voucher with, or almost half. No, I think they raised it. Buying it with the voucher is like $110 or $120, and I think theirs was like $80. So students that didn't need to use financial aid chose to purchase it through Cengage. But financial aid was usable through the bookstore. If they purchased it through the bookstore, they could certainly apply financial aid to it. So, Darcy, check with your Cengage rep. I don't know who your rep is, but I've been working with mine. They had a link to it right out on their student resources page when students logged in, and it's gotten messed up. It's never come back. And so she sent me a link, and now this fall there might be an issue. They might have had been in renegotiations with Cengage kind of thing. I'm going to do a quick see if I can do it. Okay. So their marketing, September 5, said they were having difficulty time getting codes loaded onto their site. So if you have a customer who needs a voucher, reach out to that person and they'll provide a back-end solution. And they're working on an agreement with Certiports that's tied up in legal. So it's a Band-Aid situation until the final plan is put back in place. So we'll see if I keep that up. We have about 5 minutes left of our time. I've enjoyed talking with each one of you. Thank you for coming, and I love hearing from you. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat here. If anybody wants me to connect with me at all, I would love to, because I still have questions about how do you start things? I gotta learn that end of things. How do you start by research? Do you start with a survey or an idea on it? But I'll be here for a few more minutes and happy to chat with anyone who wants to continue chatting. And I just want to update that it's getting near 2 o'clock. So we're ending for the day, aren't we? Are we done? We're ending. All right. If I don't see you later, I'll see you tomorrow.
One quick question. When is the next Trends Conference? Is it in spring or fall only?
So we did one last spring. I'm now on the committee.
Oh, congrats.
I asked too many questions. my boss went, you want to get on the committee? And I'm, okay. We did one in spring because we didn't get last fall. Is that what happened? If I recall correctly, we were not together last fall. And then I think we're planning to just be fall because now we got back in the rotation. And of course, the hope is we will get back in face-to-face. But this, if you didn't hear before, we are partnering with Motown Digital for this presentation platform. And so far it's going pretty well. Techs have been great helping figure things out.
Yeah, I really like doing it this way. That way I don't have to travel and I still get to attend. And
right. I'd appreciate if you were Kim, not Stephen, because off.
I'd like that too, but I was worried that maybe I wouldn't be able to get in, that it would, just let Stephen one time, but it's letting me in, and it even let me in the same session as him. So I'm good.
Yes, Darcy, you're right. It works better when the microphone works.
That too.
Great.
Well, it was nice talking with everybody.
It definitely was. This is, as I said at the beginning, this is my absolute favorite part of Trends. And somehow, Brendan, I missed the process for making sure it happened in the spring one. And so I got the program. I'm like, where's my roundtable? So coming this fall, I'm like, I will have a roundtable.
I'm just delighted. I think Trends, my first ever Trends experience was actually last year for the virtual. And then I saw the agenda for this one. It's like, there's a roundtable for my area. I gotta go. I gotta see this.
Real quick for any of you, are you doing anything with student organizations, BPA or business stuff, or?
BPA is on our radar and being talked about a lot here. As I understand it, I think KCC will be hosting the BPA. In the
Kellogg will be?
I believe so. Darcy is typing. I'm going to double check with my colleague to make sure I'm accurate here. Secondary level.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to come down and see Kellogg's. I proctor. We have one here. We did 1 year. Ours is kind of tied up in a business club, business for all, and I'm not in charge of that, so I'm trying to work with that coordinator to see if we can. Yeah. Darcy.
Yeah.
Oh well, Brendan, I think you know this. Oh my gosh. Maurice Henderson.
Okay.
Darcy, you want to talk to Maurice? He can get you the list of which schools have chapters. I think it's a little bit of a challenge at the 2-year level because you're constantly rotating. Every year you have to recruit for people to participate. But I think for us as administration, it's such a great tool for building their skills. One of the examples I use is I had a student who went 1 year and learned that time management was an issue. When the student's doing homework, you can take as much time as you want, but when you're in this competition, you got to move. Came back the next year and qualified for nationals. I know. It's my favorite story. My favorite story.
Love it.
So, bye, Darcy. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for this. It was wonderful. Looking forward to next fall.
Absolutely. And don't
Bye-bye.
hey, we should be happy to reach out anytime if you want to coordinate something.
Oh, I got both of your emails, so you'll hear from me.
Please do.
Thank you so much. And nice to meet everybody in the chat too. Thank
Yes.
you, Joyce, for all the call outs and the help.
Bye, everyone.